What's up, members? Today we are going to be looking at the market overview. So we are now going to be jumping onto NASDAQ. I want you guys to be able to see how we are looking at NASDAQ, and not only that, but we're also going to be looking at GBPCAD, on which is going to be a beautiful and one of the currency pairs that we have looked into on the top 6 setups, and it's going to be a beautiful one, to be honest. And with NASDAQ, I remember the previous video that I did speak about on the market overview. We did get to see NASDAQ. We also did get to see what is it, S&P 500, on which those are beautiful trees that actually happened in the way that they did happen, because we are able to learn with whatever outcome the market does give us, once it does, whether it goes in our direction or not. If it does in our direction, we learn, but we also get to make profit. But if it doesn't go in our direction, we get to double learn with also the losses that we took. So I want you guys to just stay tuned, as I want to show you guys how or what we are seeing in NASDAQ and also GBPCAD, and hopefully you will find some value into this video. Not only that, but you will be able to just gain or receive something, or maybe just help you understand or see the market in a bit more better perspective, obviously. And just make sure that you do like this video. Not only that, subscribe, as you'll find more of these videos in the near future. But not only that, even if you scroll on my YouTube channel, you'll be able to see multiple videos where I speak about different types of pairs, different types of indices, different types of topics that you guys get to ask me in the comment box. So you can also just type down in the comment box, and you'd be able to literally request whatever topic that you want me to speak about, and obviously I'll jump into it. So let us jump in, seeing the first pair, which is NASDAQ. So speaking on NASDAQ, I want us to take a look at it from the two types of time frames. Now looking at it here, we are on the 4-hour charts. This idea is our 4-hour chart, and this idea is our 1-hour chart. So basically you can simply see what we've been looking for all along the previous week. We've been looking for first touches here, first touches here, second touches right here, and as well third touches here. But I learned and I noticed that while you're let's say while you're focused looking for a short position on a specific zone. Okay, so you can see the screen, please. Okay, Lawson is saying you can't see the screen. Can you guys see the screen? And I'm sure for you to be able to see the screen, just press on my name where I'm presenting it, Lesiba Mothupi, and it will appear onto your screen. And just let me know if you're still seeing it as a problem. Okay, it's okay. Nice, perfect. Okay, yeah, as I was saying, we've got our first touches here, second touches. Obviously we've been looking for third touches here, but while we were looking for our third touches, and while we were zoned in looking for our third touches, we were able to miss out on this beautiful impulsive nature and a corrective nature right here, and then next shoot to the upside, because this was a beautiful trade that we could have caught, that we could have got all the way to the upside. So now I want us to, instead of just focusing on the one scenario, the market's going to push to the upside or to the downside, I want us to focus a bit more on two types of scenarios, whereby we'll be able to know how to react when the market acts in a certain way. So looking at it, you can simply see that now we obviously broke around these resistance areas. So here's where the NASDAQ is actually at the highest. NASDAQ has ever been this high. It's now at the highest level ever. So it keeps on just breaking and creating new highs. So looking at it here, we've got our first touches, second touches right here, and this can be seen as our third touches. And it's a beautiful candlestick that we're looking at here, because if you just take a look at this candlestick, if I may zoom in a bit, you'll simply see that it's a it's a shooting star. It's a shooting star, and it's a hammer. Beautiful hammer that has rejected perfectly. As you can see, the rejection is too much compared to the body of it. Okay. So now we've got two types of scenarios, meaning that we can still see the market pushing way more to the upside, creating new highs, on which that's how NASDAQ has been creating new highs. NASDAQ is much more profitable when you're buying it instead of when you're selling it. And at the same time, you can still see the market pushing a bit more to the downside, like here on the 1-hour chart. On the 1-hour chart, you can see the NASDAQ pushing a bit more to the upside, coming around these areas that was previous support, treat it as resistance now, and then reject some around these areas, then go back to the downside. But this is just going to enable us to understand what it is that we can look for and how we can capitalize when which type of situation or scenario does present itself. So let's say now we are looking for a buyer's movement. Okay, let me just leave it like this. Let's say now we're looking for a buyer's movement The best way that we are going to be getting an entry on it is obviously on the smaller time frame, 15 minutes, somewhere around there, we'll be able to just spot a beautiful young correction on which we're going to dive down onto the smaller time frame. I'll show you guys. But once we do get a smaller correction, that's when we are going to be able to take the trade. And our targets are going to be around here. First targets are going to be around here, not with the mindset of trying to make as much as possible, but with the mindset of understanding that if it does continue to break and go all the way to the upside, then you are in the trade. So with this one here, even the risk reward on it could be something close to a 1:1 or 1:1.5, somewhere around there, because we're not looking to take profits only at these areas, but we're looking to take profits at the maximum height. And let's say we don't get to be able to capitalize a bit more on it, then obviously we'll be looking for the market to push a bit more to the upside, a bit more to the upside. If we just leave that by entry, a bit more to the upside, and then once it does get here, we'll see how it gets here. If it does treat this as an area of resistance, obviously we are going to take the sell to the downside, beautiful sell to the downside. But if it doesn't, then obviously it means that once the market does break these areas, then it will come back to treat it as support. That's when we are going to be looking for. Once it does break these areas, then we can come back as a support area. Then we will be looking for a buy move to the upside, which supports our left shoulder, head obviously, and at the same time right shoulder. So it's all about how we catch this one here, not even how we catch it, but what we actually make with the trade that we catch, because you can catch a very small move to the upside or still make some profits. So let me just drop down all the way to 15 minutes. There we go. So you can see on the 15 minutes, beautiful impulse move to the downside. Beautiful one. It broke out, it came back to retest, it broke down to the downside once more. So one thing that I'm seeing here is the market pushing a bit more to the upside. As you can see, even this doji connection, this doji can even be an indication of us just to start a deeper correction. It's very possible for the market to start a deeper correction, a movement such as this. And once it does get here, that's when we are going to be capitalizing on the sell to the downside. Very possible for something like this to happen. So we just have to be aware on what it is that we are going to be looking for at that specific time frame, on which I'd say that for NASDAQ it's much more safer for us to be looking for entries somewhere around 3:30, on which that's when the market becomes a bit more volatile, meaning that if you are able to catch it by entry now, let's say now for instance by entry going a bit more to the upside right here, maybe stops would be right here and so on. Target would be somewhere close to 1:5, 1:6 right here. Let's say if let's say you are able to get something like this, most definitely, like when it does open, the market does open, there's a higher chance of you just one candle impulsing all the way to hit targets here. But if you are not involved in when the market is open, when it's the right trading session, it means that there's a higher chance of the market just playing around with you and then taking you out. So while going through my back testing sessions, I noticed that when the market isn't open at its times, even if it gave you a beautiful setup, a setup that is confirmed, there's a high chance of it even just going against you, because the market is not progressing in the direction that it wanted to move. It can just range around, take you out, and once the market does get to open, that's when it will shoot to that desired direction. So we need to just be looking for, if it's a buy, it could either be a short-term buy, as long as your stop losses is super limited, and then you're looking to take targets here, just so when you do get here, you can either, the market can break. Once it does break, then you do know that there's a chance of us breaking, coming back, treating this area support. That's when we are going to be looking for buys all the way to the upside. But there's also a higher chance of us not being able to break, on which you can be involved in a short-term sell. This sell I've been waiting for a few weeks now. Short-term sell all the way maybe close to these areas, and then we can, not even these areas, since we're going to have to adjust this line that I have here, our daily support line, which means NASDAQ can come somewhere around close to here, then we can continue our rise to the upside. So what I'm trying to show you here is that whatever opportunity you get to buy, you need to buy. But if the market is giving you sell setups, you need to also open your mind towards those sell setups. Okay. Okay, now let us take a look at GBPCAD, one of the cleanest setups also for the week. Okay, as you can see, GBPCAD is looking super clean, guys, and this one here is actually a bit more simple. It's even compared, like just take a look at this pattern. This pattern, it's a pattern here. It broke out. After it broke out, it came to retest with a beautiful pattern. Then now we're expecting the next impulsive move to the downside. But I want to show you, it's almost something similar than what that, yeah, compared to NASDAQ. What actually happened to NASDAQ? Beautiful pattern right here. It broke out impulsively, came back to retest, gave us a beautiful pattern right here, and then it now shot all the way to the downside. And it shot all the way to the downside. So that's actually one we are looking for. There we go. Okay, let me just go on the 4 hour just to see the bigger movement all the way back down to the downside. There we go. Okay, so just by taking a look at this beautiful 4 hour chart, you can see we experience a huge impulse leg to the upside. We experience a young, would say that this is a young correction, or would say that this is actually a bearish movement though, but it's actually not a, it's a correction, but it's not a clean correction, on which normally these corrections actually are steeper corrections, and if they do happen to break out, obviously it means that the market has to, there's no momentum all the way back to the upside, but there's a higher chance of us coming back to testing whatever area that we maybe broke out at as previous support. As you can see, first touches here, maybe second touches, then we can get another push to the upside, because such, when they do get to break out, it only opens up for, it could either be a deeper correction, or it could either be, a retest or something like that, because you can see it's a correction, yes, but it's a steeper correction. It's a very steep correction. Even if it doesn't happen that way, normally it would just play around maybe something like this and then go back to the upside, because you can see that the momentum is still there to the downside, even though we were involved in the correction. So let me just go on the 1 hour chart just to show you guys what it is that I was able to pick up. Okay, let me remove this here. Previous data. Okay, so and just take a look at how I'm focusing on the most recent data. So it's much more important of you guys to be able to focus on the most recent data instead of looking at what actually happened back then. I'm focusing on still what's happening within the month of August. As you can see, the only analysis that I have is within the month of August, which is on the 6th of August, which is amazing. Okay, as you can see, beautiful pattern here of impulsive nature to the upside. Correction here, gave us a double top formation, first top, second top, evening star, beautiful pattern to the downside, which represents a beautiful reversal pattern. Even if I do happen to draw my trend lines like this, you can simply see that this breakout that happened here, it's the same breakout that actually happened, and now we are experiencing a retest. We are now experiencing a retest. It broke out, it came back now to retest. So I'm just removing this so we don't get to be confused with the line work, with the chart works. We're trying to read price more instead of reading the lines that we draw on price. So now as you can see, yes, we did break out, came back, retest, beautiful rejection candle on the 1 hour, which is a bit more valid and much more reliable looking at the 1 hour for these types of confirmations. And now looking just at the 15 minutes whether we want to capitalize on our entry. I like the fact that also in the 15 minutes you are able to limit your stop loss and have a much more tighter stop loss, which is super safe. So you can see obviously first touch, second touch, the market pushed a bit more to the downside with this engulfing candlestick. This engulfing candlestick was clean, which if we saw this in time obviously would be involved in a move such as this. And then this being the first target, it's not even the overall target, it's just the first target because we're coming all the way down to here. But since now we have the market impulse to the downside, a young correction here, the market pushed once more to the downside, and just by drawing these areas, previous support, price closing brackets, previous support, you can see now that the candle has closed below. So one thing that we can see when the market opens is we can see maybe candle, obviously we just have to wait a few more minutes or an hour or so just so for the spread to cool down, but we can see price just playing somewhere around these areas, and then maybe coming back to retest these areas, on which will be a very great entry for us to be executing all the way to the downside. But even if that doesn't happen, maybe it does, it goes a bit more to the downside. Even if that doesn't happen, it goes just a bit more to the downside, on which it can happen that the market pushes a bit more to the downside, depends on how impulsive the market wants to be. So if it does happen to push, obviously we're going to wait for just a very tight correction here, and a very tighter one. Once you do get that, obviously you'll be able to capitalize that first entry of ours. It will trigger us in. It will be able to obviously secure. Maybe maximum stop loss would be, minimum stop loss obviously is 15 pips, but we'll be looking at these areas. But most importantly, I like the fact that we are going to be coming down to here onwards. Someone will be thinking that it's going to take too long for us to get there. It doesn't even take too long. Like, take a look at these candlesticks. They don't take way too long, even though it's not moving down in an impulsive nature. Because as you can see, this is in a, like, it's not too impulsive, né? But you can see that the market here did impulse all the way to the downside, and literally took from, yeah, from the 4th up until, it took literally less than like a day, to be honest. It took a day, because just by looking at it here, it impulsed all the way to the downside, then we hit target. So instead of us just trying to look at what we can try to not make of this, we can also see the fact that this simple trade can turn into a 6%, or even if, let's say, you're catching it, let's say worst case scenario, you want to enter it where it's at now, né? Obviously when the spread has cooled down and so on. But worst case scenario, let's say you're taking a trade such as this, maybe you can either have a 27 pip stop or 22 pip stop loss right here, which is still valid. You can simply see that the target is still amazing, eh? 4.9 percentages, which is amazing. One thing that I like about having increase on the 15 minute that is confirmed with the 1 hour, instead of just trying to enter on the 15 minutes. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so we're able to see GBPCAD. It's going to be a beautiful sell for the week. I can't wait to execute on this one here. I'll just show it with you guys just before I execute on it, just to show you guys how I was able to catch it if it does come the way that I anticipated. But if it doesn't, then obviously I'll just have to wait for a scaling position. Once you do get that scaling position, meaning that if it does, okay, if it does shoot to the downside, obviously I'll just have to wait for a scaling, then I'll go all the way down with it. But it's going to be a beautiful trade on GBPCAD. Okay, I'm glad that you actually did get to spend some time with me on the charts. You saw what it is that I look for whenever I see trades. You saw how actually we're able to split some of these two different types of screens, just so you'll be able to just it helps be able to see what's happening on a bigger time frame and as well on a smaller time frame, though you're seeing that in one image. So it's actually helpful. Hope that you do also get to practice that. Make sure that you like this video, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, as I will see you on the next video that you should be expecting super soon. So boy, Lesiba Mothupi, thank you so much for watching my YouTube videos.